Old school racing and extreme tyre degradation have been two of the highlights so far this season, and there's perhaps no better racetrack to showcase all of that than here at The Rock. Hello everyone and welcome to Rockingham Speedway in North Carolina for round 7 of a Rolling Thunder Racing Series. This is a Mared Mechanical 167 and you're going to get to watch all of the action live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi everyone, I'm Samuel Ryman and alongside me in the booth is Robert Covey. Behind the scenes is our director Ryan Bauer, who celebrated his birthday this week. Happy birthday Ryan! And he is using cameras provided to us by Dougie Beard. Well, The Rock is a track that the Gen 4 cars raced on, but not all the way through. It kind of started to get a little bit retired towards the end of the early 2000s. But when cars do show back up here for racing, they always put on a fantastic show. Let's see why with our GSRC track guide.
Under beautiful Carolina blue skies sits the Rockingham Speedway, also known as The Rock. The fierce competition on the speedway is what gives The Rock its name. This 1 mile oval has been thrilling fans for over 30 years with 22 degrees of banking and a tough-on tire surface. On top of the surface being a tire killer, the Rockingham Speedway is also one of the bumpiest tracks that you'll find out there. The yellow line is the best and fastest way around this place on fresh rubber. Planting those left side tires around the bottom in 1 and 2 is one of the most satisfying feelings. Down there on the yellow line, the bumps are minimal and you really get this sensation of being shot out of a cannon when you come screaming on a turn 2, up out of that corner, down the backstretch. Patience around the Rock is the name of the game. Rockingham kind of reminds me of Darlington Raceway in that sense that you show up here and you race the racetrack, not necessarily the competition. The fastest drivers here are often the slowest to the throttle. Maintaining proper traction and low tire wear is currently and historically the best way to find victory lane here at this legendary facility. Rockingham is a throwback to the old ways of auto racing. Dig hard, elbows up, and be smart about it. Racing here just feels different. You'll see today the racers enjoy it and very often put on some of the best shows at this old track. This has been our guide to the Rockingham Speedway. Enjoy the show.
Well, The Rock, Robert, is certainly a favourite among many different racing drivers.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting day today with the, the Rockingham layout. Very, very treacherous turn 2. Really got to hold on to the car. Tire wear. They're really going to be lighting up those rear tires coming out of turn 2.
Yeah, so we'll see how that plays into factor today. Remember, we'll get to it in a moment, but they're all kind of limited on the amount of tyres they have. Here's what the championship standings look like after 6 races. Daniel Eberhardt, the only driver in the championship to have won 2 races, and as a result, he has a 13-point lead over Colin Weatherholt, who has not won any. But then the 4 drivers you see behind him in points there, Dylan Jones, Jared Mogard, Scott Crump and Jason Maines all have a win to their name. You can see points starting to get a little bit spread out, but we're only 6 races into a 20-race season, so still a lot that can change. Let's have a look at our race details.
Well, this is round 7 of 20. 167 laps in the NASCAR Gen 4. Fixed setup. No spare car, 4 total tire sets, 3 in the pits, 1 green-white checkered attempt if it's necessary.
And we have seen some races where there have been a few cautions, some races where it's been mostly clean and green. I don't think we've had any race that went caution free, unless Daytona did, but there was a very big wreck at the very end of that one. Anyhow, qualifying is just getting underway here at The Rock. So we have about 20 cars signed up for this event. They're rolling out onto the track now. And I've got to be honest, it's a 1 mile track here, Robert. I think this is a track you do want to try and get a good qualifying in.
Yeah, it's definitely a line issue here for your qualifying lap, and even for the race. You can see how loose the car is there for him, unless he's trying to warm those tires up. Maybe he's just doing a bit of weaving, get those rear tires, see what he's got. But the bottom of the track is not the preferred line, which, normally you're thinking, hey, I want to go to the bottom. Around here, you want to keep that car up as close to the wall as you can comfortably and carry as much speed through the corner. The lower you exit out of turn 2, especially, treacherous turn 2, you can lose the rear end of the car very, very quickly.
Yeah, so these are 2 onboards that we have tonight you've been looking at. First, Jacob Manning, who wasn't at last week's race at Michigan, but he's back now. And now we've got Ryan Johnson, who has been one driver running up there consistently, but hasn't brought home a checkered flag yet. I have already seen one spin on camera. Well, we haven't had it on camera, but Luke Smith had a spin during his qualifying attempt, and I'm sure he isn't the only one. And there's that high line that you're talking about, Robert. Ryan Johnson running very close up to the wall.
Definitely want to hug the wall through here. It's scary, it's frightening, because the car is so loose, and you don't want to tap that row as he spins it. Treacherous turn 4 this time.
Yeah, Ryan trying to get everything he could coming off of turn 4. That was his second lap. So he has put in 1 lap. You can see him sitting 4th on the board there. Botafani, the number 35 car, hasn't put in a lap yet. You can see a 23.7 is our fastest lap so far, and he just puts a 24.1. And that's going to be it for Botafani. Now we ride on board Dylan Jones, one of the stronger performers this season.
Yeah, Dylan's he's really jumped up the standings here since the run at Watkins Glen. He's got a couple podiums. He's got the win at Richmond, which has moved him into 3rd place in the standings, shifting him nearly 10 positions over 3 rounds. Going to be really interesting to see what he can pull together tonight.
Scott Crump on screen here, going down the back straight at Rock. You can see he's already ran a 24.2, which is about half a second off of Eberhardt's fastest lap. Look how close it is on the front row there. Our top 2 in points, separated by just 0.03 of a second. Is Scott Crump going to get his name up there too? He does improve, but it's only enough for 4th. Michael Larch.
Michael Larch, another one of our, heavy movers, one of the heavier movers quietly through the last 3 rounds, mostly since the Glen. I mean, he's jumped from 15th to 9th, which shows he's just been being consistent, finishing his races, and gaining as many points as he can every round as he gets really loose out of 2.
Yeah, but it looks like it's just the first lap for Mogard, so he might be able to try and go faster on his second lap, providing he doesn't spin it coming out of turn 4 there. He's got enough time, got over a minute left on the clock. Wow, that was a very slow lap, first lap there, so really struggling with the looseness of that number 15 car.
The tires the tire degradation here is extremely bad. If you run the lower portion of the track, there's just so much turn, especially through 1 and 2. You can burn up that right front and really burn up that right rear, just trying to hold the car down there. It's going to be really interesting to see how long before in the race before everybody kind of flares out and says, you know what, we're going to run the wall and save our tires, because they do only have 3 sets in the pit.
So Dylan Jones is the only driver not to turn a lap time, and he's not going to be able to. So, wow, that's going to be something to watch here. I just feel that this is a track, though. I mean, granted, you've got 167 laps, you've got strategy, you've got cautions, but with the 1 mile nature of a circuit and, not really many escape routes to go with if a wreck breaks out in front of you, I just feel this is a race where I would want to be qualifying well.
For sure, you want to be up at the front and not be worrying about the guys behind you. At the same time, this is again, it's one of those tracks that whether you're in the front or the back, it doesn't take much for the car to just step out on you.
Well, for all things Rolling Thunder Racing, you can tune in Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for the Burn Them Down podcast with Greg Dries. It's available on Greg's Twitch channel, Spotify, SiriusXM, Apple, and YouTube. What's going on right now for fans who are new to the series is that they currently have a 5-minute warm-up here. However, we won't see cars on track for a couple of minutes because the race admins are kind of giving them a rundown, a driver's meeting, if you will. But eventually we will see cars roll out on track and we'll be able to give you a full qualifying readout here. We can tell you that front row is Eberhardt and Weatherholt, the 2 points leaders, again separated by just 0.03 of a second in qualifying.
Well, Weatherholt ran himself really good. And as we mentioned earlier, he's been holding on up until the last two rounds to that first place. Has not had a win yet this season. As we take a look at Ryan Johnson, Jacob Manning getting set here, getting their instructions before we go green here very shortly.
Yeah, it was Ryan Johnson on the left and Jacob Manning on the right. About 3 minutes left until we go green here, so if you want to grab some popcorn, you might want to have it because we've had some exciting races so far this season. It started off with Daytona, which of course gives us the traditional carnage and exciting pack racing you'd expect at Daytona. As we take a look at the weather there, nothing too alarming, track temperature a little high. And then we went to Las Vegas, where we started to see the strategy races take place. Jared Mogard made the right strategy call. He won Vegas. We then went to our road course race at Watkins Glen, where Eberhardt won. We thought Weatherholt was going to be able to fight for the win, but he actually ended up running out of fuel. Atlanta, we had a traditional Atlanta Motor Speedway photo finish with Scott Crump just beating Dylan Jones for the win. But at Richmond, Jones was able to redeem himself with the win there, despite having an EOL penalty during the middle of a race. Last race, the one that happened last week, was at Michigan, where Eberhardt became our first driver to win 2 races so far this season.
Yeah, and Colin Weatherholt's not going to be happy that he hasn't gotten a win. He really pushed it there in the last race in Michigan. Just fell short of getting that first place, and I'm sure he's not happy about sitting in second behind Eberhardt. If he does, interestingly, the statistic that we have yet to have a repeat driver on ovals. Now, Eberhardt running as well as he is, are we looking at our first repeat on oval, or is Colin Weatherholt going to throw his name in the hat and be our next winner on an oval and just keep the streak going?
Well, there certainly have been, obviously 5 winners in 6 races. We could talk about the variety of different front runners we have in this series. But I still think there's a lot of big names out there, as you mentioned, that have yet to have a win, as we see a little bit of that treacherous turn 2 coming into play in warm-up right now. Weatherholt is obviously a name up there, but just looking at the qualifying order, Lane Doyle qualified 3rd, Seth Reed 5th, Matthew Molnar 6th. There are a lot of top runners here who don't have a win. We've still got over half a season left to go. I think we're going to get probably about a dozen winners over the course of this season.
Well, they've definitely proven that every driver in this field can handle the car and knows what they're doing. Looking at our little statistics sheet here, we've run 685 laps on ovals, averaging 90% of each race running green flag. That's just an impressive stat. That over 90% of races on ovals have gone green.
Yeah, these drivers have definitely put on some clean races. A lot of the incidents do tend to happen toward the start of the races or toward the end of the races. I do have a bit of a feeling we might see the caution come out a few times here at Rock, just from the nature of a racetrack. But let's see, hopefully they'll prove me wrong. So here are our 19 starters, with Daniel Eberhardt taking pole from Colin Weatherholt once again by only 0.03 of a second. Lane Doyle and Scott Crump on row number 2, followed by Seth Reed and Matthew Molnar. So, in fact, let me continue here. Matthew Robinson and Brian Johnson 7th and 8th. Jason Maines and Jordan Berube 9th and 10th. Want to throw out that only 3 of those drivers in the top 10 have won the race so far this season.
Yeah, and following up in row 6, we've been 11th. We've got Jared Mogard alongside Bo Tiffany. In 13th, Trevor Williams alongside Brenton Barker in 14th. Luke Smith and Dean Gagliano take up row 8, with Jacob Manning in 17th alongside Michael Larch, and followed up with Dylan Jones, who did not get a good qualifying this round.
Yeah, the only driver not to turn a lap in qualifying. Track's actually cooled off a little bit, but the wind has picked up. And yes, I am aware now that I have been mispronouncing the last name of Bo Tiffany. I think another series we used to have here on GSRC, we had a driver whose last name was pronounced Tiffany, and there, finally, our pole sitter rolls off. It's only a 1 mile track here, so I think I only have 1 pace lap.
Yeah, looking forward to some great racing. Those wins out of the south are really going to make turn 2 a handful in these cars as they come around and this pace car pulls off and they get going. We're going to see, I think we will see more than 1 caution tonight, even if they try not to run one.
It was Las Vegas where we saw a multi-car incident right at the very start of a race. Hopefully we don't get a repeat of that from any spun tyres, as the Ford Mustang pace car leads them through turns 3 and 4. Daniel Eberhardt on the inside in that black car. Colin Weatherholt in the white and green car up on the outside will be starting in second. Here comes the pace car making a hard left turn into the pits, and we are about to go racing here for 167 laps at Rockingham as Barney drops the green flag, and here we go. Side racing, no one making it 3 wide, but a lot of 2x2, Robert.
Definitely, everybody taking it a little bit easier here. Now they're in traffic, seeing a few cars coming really close to the other's rear bumper. But you are going to try and move forward as fast as you can. Although you're going to get, I think, 45, 50 laps out of a tank of fuel here, these tires really fall off after about 10 to 12 laps. As Matthew Molnar sets our fastest lap so far with a 24.059.
Ooh, look at Brian Johnson fighting the steering wheel down the back straight. I don't know if he might have got a little contact from behind, but whatever happened, he's been able to save it. But yeah, as you mentioned, we still have the ever-present concern of the fact that these drivers only have 3 sets of tyres waiting for them in the pits. Toward the back, fans of Dylan Jones, you can see he has moved up to 14th, so gradually making his way to the front.
Yeah, 5 spots here in the first 4 laps. Looking to use, he's going to really use up his tires, but it's going to be worth it if he can get himself at least midfield before everybody settles in and starts running up to the top of the track. As now Daniel Eberhardt responds with a 24.055 fastest lap.
Yeah, well, Eberhardt was up high and Weatherholt was trying to take the lead down low. That didn't work for him, so now they're trying something different. Looks like something's happened to Bo Tiffany. Look at Bo Tiffany on the bottom of your scoring pylon. He's dropping a lot of time. Yeah, he's still going. A lot of damage I can see to the 35 car. We'll try and get a replay of that. So here we go, first major incident of a race, and it's coming off of that treacherous turn 2. I think he might have got a bit of help from behind, but in the defense of the car behind him was already way out of shape. No, that was all on his own.
Yeah, just trying to carry too much speed on exit out of turn 2. You know, as I mentioned, a lot of drivers don't realize how much the wind can affect the car exit out of turn 2 coming out of the south right now. I think we were about 8 miles an hour before we started as we look on board here at the battle between Daniel Eberhardt and Colin Weatherholt.
Yeah, top 2 running nose to tail, 3rd place. Matthew Molnar, who's done a good job of moving up from 6th, not too far behind. And then 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th all right on top of each other. You'll see them in the back of your shot there. So we've got a couple of battles up toward the front in the early laps here.
Now we've got some of our back runners here. You know, Dylan Jones has moved up 6 spots. Jacob Manning's moved up 5 spots from when they've started. I really worry about guys that move this quickly because of the tire wear. You know, are you going to burn them off a little bit too much? But so far so good for everybody. You can see a lot of looseness out of 2, a lot of looseness out of 4. These cars are really squirrely at this track, but they are a lot of fun to drive.
Yeah, Jacob Manning's done this a couple of races so far this season where he's been very good on the short run of a race. So he qualified quite poorly for him actually, down in 17th place, but he's jumped up to 12th already. But like you say, will his tyres be able to hold up for another 40 laps?
Yeah, I'm sure a few drivers are going to, you know, make a liar out of me or just prove me wrong. But I've heard a lot that running the bottom of the track, especially through 1 and 2 here, is really going to burn up those tires. But we're seeing a lot of drivers hugging the bottom of the track. The question is you know, we're coming into lap 12 now here, so they're probably starting to lose a little bit as Dylan Jones moved up into 13th position.
And you saw on that graphic Jacob Manning, who had moved up and already clutching, trying to save a little bit of fuel here. I think that's just the nature of racing NASCAR nowadays. People are always trying to save a little bit of extra fuel because you never know if you're going to need it.
Well, and the more fuel you can save if you pit with everybody else, your stop may be a half a second faster.
Lane Doyle.
So get out in front of them.
Sorry, Lane Doyle from 5th place got the wall out. I've seen a few cars scraping the wall up in turns 1 and 2 throughout the race, but Lane Doyle in the number 32, there you see him on the right hand side of your screen, he grazed it pretty good the last lap around, and that cost him a position.
Yeah, this track is known for putting black marks on those walls, especially on exit of 2 and exit of 4. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of them just scraping that wall. But it is where you want to run these cars. You don't want to run the lower part. You want to keep up high. You want to run along the wall, carry as much momentum as you can, and preserve your tires for the first pit stop.
And here's Eberhardt using the low line. They're kind of giving Weatherholt the high side, but Weatherholt couldn't do anything with it. I don't know how hard he's trying to pass Eberhardt right now, but I'm sure if the opportunity presented to him, he would take it, and Eberhardt actually got a little loose coming off of turn 4 there, so we'll see if Weatherholt does anything.
Well, that is the advantage to running in the front. As you can see, you watch him, he's taking that low line through, you know, mid-corner, and then just letting the car wash its way out towards the wall on exit. It will help with the preservation of the tires, but I don't know how long he's going to be able to hold that between now and the first pit stop.
You can just see how close all of these drivers are getting to the wall right in front of Luke Smith there. A couple of drivers getting up, maybe occasionally even kissing the wall, and just hoping that it doesn't suck them into it.
Definitely, and it's patience here. Treacherous turn 2 is it's throttle control. It's how much speed you carry through the corner. You got to be patient. You almost can't even trust the car. You just have to trust yourself and feel in the steering wheel. As you see Jacob Manna working a little bit there on exit. Just the way the rear of the car just does not want to settle down at any point in time through a lap.
Most of the field doing a good job of keeping in touch with one another. The top 16 covered by 7 seconds. Dean Gagliano, Brenton Barker and Bo Tiffany have dropped off a little bit toward the back. But also I think that they're ones that have scraped the wall or had moments early on here. So maybe running out there with wounded cars. But everyone's still on the lead lap, still in the race as we're over 10th race distance, now working lap 20.
Yeah, as we look back from Crump here, Molnar and Johnson battling it out there. Johnson trying the lower line, just trying to find a way up around Molnar while Doyle sits behind him and thinks of taking the high line, carrying a little bit more momentum here. See if he can get the run. Ooh, a little blink there. That's going to make him nervous.
Yeah, and I think Molnar, whenever you see a car blink, sometimes they see everyone disappear, and it looked like Molnar rolled out of the gas on the exit there, so I'm wondering if that's what happened to him and he realised, oh, I need to get out of this, but fortunately he's back now.
Really mixing the field. We got some drivers that are managed to make their way forward, like Ryan Johnson here. Some drivers are just can't seem to hold on to the car and are starting to lose positions. Ryan looks to have a pretty good, he doesn't really have anybody coming at him, so he can try and take it a little bit easy, but you can see he's not going right down to that yellow line. That's a treacherous area, especially through 1 and 2, as the banking doesn't really kick in until about a tire width off that yellow line, which can really upset the car if you go too low.
The drivers are currently running about half a second slower than what they did at the start of the race, which might not sound like much, but we're not even halfway through a fuel run, so it's probably going to be more like 1 to 2 seconds a lap slower as we work another 20 laps here. And again, they're all limited to 3 sets of tyres, so odds are, if there was a caution right now, people probably wouldn't take one of their sets of tyres this early.
It really is going to depend on where the temperatures are right now, where how badly are they losing front grip. I'm sure drivers running the bottom are probably starting to feel a little squirrely on exit there because they have to turn a little tighter, maybe a little bit of a wash on entry. Having to stay low there can be detrimental.
So over the last few laps, the top 2, remember we had a top 3 all running on top of each other a moment ago, but now you can see there's almost a second gap between Eberhardt and Weatherholt, and then Weatherholt's got about 2 seconds back to Crump. So the leaders are finally getting a little bit spread out here as we approach the halfway point of the run, but you can see the battle for 11th is still hot between Dylan Jones and Jacob Manning.
Yeah, Dylan Jones definitely on a tear here. Started 19th, up 8 positions, trying to get himself in the top 10. Should be happy to be in the top 10 when we come around to our first pit stops in probably about 15 laps. We might see our first takers, maybe even a little earlier than that, with thinking 45 to 50 laps on fuel.
Probably a bit more like 20. Oh, big moment for the 32 there. Almost getting up in the wall. That's Lane Doyle. Remember, we saw him in the wall earlier, so let's see if Matthew Robinson is going to be able to capitalise on that and take 6th. No, he's not. Doyle's able to recover and hold on to that Baker's half-dozen position. I guess a Baker's half-dozen would be 6.5, but he's in 6th position.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at my timing screen here. It looks like Dylan Jones is good. Is really caught up to Jason Maines here. Really wants that 10th position.
Yeah, this is one battle that's been. Oh, and did he get in the wall up there? I think.
Yeah, that was Jacob Manning. Just got into the wall there briefly. Still got the car going. As we got another car kind of bouncing off the wall. Looks like he's struggling with control of the car. See Jordan Berube.
Yeah, I think he's up on the outside of us here. We're looking on Jacob Manning's nose, but there's Jordan Berube. So, like you said, he was in the wall, and now he's down to... Oh, boy, and having the door shut on him by Manning. And there's a Crown Royal car coming underneath of Luke Smith. So things getting very dicey here, just outside the top 10. And you can see how much Manning is having to focus.
Yeah, biting that bottom lip, just holding on to the car for everything he's got, especially on those exits. You can see him just does not want to give up what he's got. But again, we're 30 laps in, thinking the cars will start coming in around 45. So I'm sure they're getting pretty loose, especially out of treacherous turn 2 and entry into 3 and 4.
A few battles have kicked off in the last couple of laps. It was calm, but now you can see not only this battle we have on screen, but 5th and 6th is up for grabs as well, with Molnar ahead of Lane Doyle, and Matthew Robinson and Jared Mogard are on them as well. That's for 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th, as we continue to watch a battle that goes from about 11th to 15th.
Well, and I think we're going to really see a lot here after our pit stops when cars have to deal with traffic. You know, which line are you going to give the guy that needs to get around you? Which line is the guy you're trying to get around going to take? As it looked like a little bit of smoke might have scraped the wall there.
Yeah, I think we're seeing people scrape a wall in this battle. I think that the battle for 5th had a couple of cars up there as well. Also, there's a battle for 3rd brewing as we go on board Jacob Manning again. Ryan Johnson is really trying to go. The Manning just, at the moment, the handling is definitely going away on that number 9 car. Here's that battle for 3rd. Scott Crump and Ryan Johnson. Ryan was challenging a moment ago.
Oh, got a huge run by taking that high line out of the corner. Really nice move. Really good settling the car down, but you know, he's not going to get it easily. Crump's going to hold him off as best he can, take the high line here through 3 and 4.
Yeah, Ryan really trying to make something work here. You can see Weatherholt in the distance. Lapped traffic is going to start to become a concern for these drivers as they catch up on Brenton Bark, who's running in 19th and last, and Ryan Johnson gets third because Scott Crump got that wall coming out in turn 4.
Wow, look at this. Dylan Jones all the way up into 7th place, 12 spots before our first pit stop. That is impressive in these cars on this track to be able to move that far that quickly.
And that's him at the front of his train looking for 6th underneath Jared Mogard. So we're riding on board the 13th place car, Luke Smith, but you can see the battle for 6th not too far ahead of him. Such is the tightness of this midfield.
Really impressive just how much most of the car has a moment there, how they're able to hold these cars through here. You know, they're light on fuel now. I'm sure those tires are screaming to be changed. But everybody's doing a really good wall. You see Jacob Manning is just continually flirting with that wall, and he's got to hope he doesn't make a bigger mistake. So number 12 almost gets into the wall there.
Yeah, that's Jason Maines on the outside there in that orange car, our Daytona winner, who's running side by side with Manning right now. They all come off of turn 4 okay that time around. You're talking about the tyres. The lap times are starting to edge up to about being 1.5 seconds a lap slower than what they were earlier, as these cars run in very close quarters once again.
Definitely looks like Jacob Manning's really struggling with front grip. Just cannot get that car to turn into the corner. Really having to get off the gas, get on the brake, and then turn that wheel, and it just can't carry his momentum.
We'll continue to watch this, but look on the left side of your screen, the interval between Brian Johnson and Scott Crump now. Johnson's really pulled away from Crump since getting by him. Now, if we continue under green flag conditions, at some point, this massive hornet's nest for, about 10th to 15th position, the leaders will have to make their way through this. So lap traffic could get very interesting if we stay green.
Well, and green flag pit stops here as Manning gets into the wall again. He just cannot hold that car off the wall. He's trying to run that line, but the car just does not want to stick for him. We see Dylan Jones is up into 6th place now and making a run at Lane Doyle. Eberhardt's actually opened up a really loose. Eberhardt's actually opened a pretty significant lead here over Weatherholt. Another impressive drive by him so far. I just don't know where he finds everything out of one of these cars.
So that was Matthew Robinson. You may have caught a glimpse of it coming out of turn 4 last lap. He's our first driver to come in for a scheduled stop, I believe, in the 34 car. This is a lot earlier than what I was thinking. Lap 40, obviously going to try and take advantage of having fresher tyres for a few laps.
Yeah, I think we're going to start seeing a few drivers. You know, they're screaming for tires. They're probably low on fuel. And now would be the window before the track. We got some cloud cover, so the track may be a little bit cooler. But again, this track will really rip up the tires. Maybe an earlier pit stop than everybody else. Fresher tires can get you out front and ahead of your rival.
Got a bit of chaos going on the track, so we've had a couple of cars come in the pits, and Dean Gagliano running back in 16th just got into the wall, so that's going to cost him a bunch of time. Obviously, we're still keeping an eye on this tight pack in the middle.
Looks like Weatherholt's in the pits.
And this is right at where he needs to be, and is that with him? That's Dean Gagliano, the car that was in the wall I was just mentioning about. So an early stop from Weatherholt here. I'm assuming going to try and use the new tyres to pass Eberhardt. And this is right on cue if you want to split the race into quarters, because lap 45, lap 90, lap 135, and that'll get you to the end.
Yeah, and I'm sure he wasn't happy with seeing the lead that Eberhardt was pulling out on him there. Get some fresh tires on. Know that Eberhardt's going to have to come in and pit and grab tires as well. Get a couple really good laps, clean open air. Might be able to be up and challenge him before we reach our next pit cycle.
Yeah, pit road's starting to get busier and busier. Eberhardt, though, still out there on the track. Now, obviously, the advantage Eberhardt will have when he does pit is he'll have fresher tyres for the rest of the stint. But I can tell you, Eberhardt's, you'll see him in your picture here. He's up high coming out of a 3 wide scenario. So Eberhardt's having to deal with traffic, and this is going to be costing him time.
Definitely going to cost him time. You know, we've discussed this at a couple of the other tracks too. Is just, you know, sometimes you can do the long run, maybe run your tank low, run it as low as you can, and then pit later than everybody, have fresher tires. But doing that also means you're going to be in the pits just that extra couple seconds longer, getting extra fuel that the other drivers didn't need to take, as Molnar, Tiffany, and Luke Smith are all on pit road.
You can see we still have 7 cars running out there on the lead lap. Obviously, they're hoping for a caution because that would trap quite a lot of cars a lap down. And it's a bit tricky to get away around with these older NASCAR caution rules that this series uses. Eberhardt had just announced he's pitting in this lap.
Yeah, I'm really surprised Jacob hasn't chosen to jump in. Oh, as I say that, there he goes into the pits. Maybe he's following Eberhardt, try and just make somebody pit with him so he can get through and move himself forward.
Eberhardt coming in right now, off of turn 4. This will give up the lead, well, to cars that haven't pit yet, such as Scott Crump. But overall, Weatherholt should be in front of Eberhardt right here. Eberhardt's going to have to run Weatherholt down during the next stint.
Well, as I mentioned there too, you know, he's going to have to be a little bit longer in the pits waiting for that fuel. So what did we have? So Weatherholt's was 14.4 pit stop. We'll see what Eberhardt here pulls off with his pit stop and fuel load.
Scott Crump is into the pits as well as Dylan Drone, so it's about 50 laps as far as everyone can go as Eberhardt rolls out of pit road.
14.5 pit stops. So he did well. Oh, really loose. Can he catch it? Nice catch.
Oh, Seth Reed almost taking Eberhardt out, and this is going to mix things up. Obviously, Seth Reed wasn't trying or anything to take Eberhardt out. He just happened to spin at a really unfortunate point that if he had gotten into Eberhardt, that would have definitely mixed things up.
Well, I'm just looking here. It's just I think, yeah, just cold tires. Just the car didn't want to hold on exit there.
So everyone, I think everyone had completed their pit stop. And we won't see it from the front of Everhart, but maybe from the spoiler angle here. See what... right there, that's how close it got. So Weatherholt leads. We knew that. And it looks like we still have a lot of cars on the lead lap. But a lot of them are on the tail end of a lead lap. Now in the NASCAR, in the older NAS... Oh no, they've already got their wave around. Okay, there we go. I was about to say, for people who haven't seen the Rolling Thunder Racing Series before, they follow the older NASCAR-style caution rules where we do get a lucky dog, and that looks like that's what Dean Gagliano just got the wave around and will be the 17th car on the lead lap. But if anyone had been trapped a lap down, they might have not necessarily got a wave around, and lap cars will restart on the inside, lead lap car up high. This is Dean Gagliano racing without Mared Mechanical sponsorship on the hood, becoming that 17th car back on the lead lap. So
definitely advantage. Oh, sorry, Sam. Definitely advantage there for Eberhard, because had that caution come out one lap earlier, Eberhard might have got trapped a lap down, which would have really thrown this field for a loop.
And a lot of cars pitting right now. I've got to imagine this is for fuel only.
Now here comes Eberhard again. Now is this going to be the same kind of mistake he made in Atlanta?
Yeah, because this is going to put him at the back of a traffic. I understand you get 5-10 extra laps of fuel, but you're putting yourself in the danger zone. He's going to have to restart outside of a top 10 rather than second.
And he was only what, 2 laps into that fuel run. I find it really strange that he would come back through the pits and grab 2 laps of fuel, because he's just going to have to burn them up, making his way back up to the front once all this cycles out. Got him sitting in 12th position out of the pits now.
Yep, no, I absolutely agree with you. I think he was in prime position to take a lead of a race on the restart, because Weatherholt has slightly older tyres than him, and then he could have just saved fuel once he got out in the lead.
Well, and he did do 2 extra laps than Weatherholt last time, so I'm not sure. As we look on board here with Ryan Johnson, Jacob Manning just settling down, listening to race control, take a couple deep breaths, a little bit of or semi-deep breaths, and get ready for that green flag to come out.
Yeah, lights are off on the pace track. I was trying to work out what was on that TV thing in the background there Oh, so that is at the very back of a room behind the TV. That's what he's seeing. Anyhow, we're about to get going here with Colin Weatherholt leading Ryan Johnson, who has slightly newer tyres. So let's see if Ryan Johnson in that 38 car is going to be the one to capitalise here. Lapped car on the inside of Brenton Barker. Second lap car of Seth Reed, you don't see up the front because he brought out the caution. He gets an EOL and restarts at the tail end of the longest line. Colin Weatherholt off to a good restart, so Ryan Johnson not going to be able to pass him right away.
And I'm just looking at the timing screen here, and Eberhard on the move here, just made his way around Manning. I'm sure he's going to be pushing that car hard. But Manning's not giving it up easily, and these two have tangled before that did not end well, I believe, in Atlanta. So let's hope this time they can do it a little bit cleaner and not put themselves out of contention for a possible win or podium here.
There was a turning point of a race at Atlanta where Manning and Eberhard tangled, and Johnson also got caught up in that crash. Speaking of Johnson, you can see on the timing he's keeping Weatherholt honest, but is still in second place for right now. Eberhard trying to find a way through as Luke Smith in that Crown Royal car on the low line gets a little loose.
Well, and he's got to be cautious of that too, because you see a car getting loose like that. I know for myself, I see a car getting loose like that, I'm a little leery about passing him.
Battle for the lead. Ryan Johnson is on the high side of Webberholt right now, and he's going to complete the move. So 1 lap fresher tyres, and that's a result.
Gotta wonder, Weatherholt, we've seen Weatherholt do really well. We've seen him come back. Gotta wonder if maybe he's just, in the back of his mind, he's got that, those podiums and doesn't have that win yet. Maybe all he wants to do now is make it through the final pit stop and then stay up near the front and push his way forward at that point, see if he can get his first win of the season.
And 2 round of pit stops left to go. Here's that battle for 9th place with Manning still ahead of Eberhardt. And a reminder here that Manning is normally very strong on the short run, so this isn't surprising for him. This is the norm for him to be racing this hard, and it's kind of a bit of an annoyance for Eberhardt, but they're racing for position. Manning has every right to race him like that. We're watching a little bit further in the pack, back in the pack right here, around 13. Oh no, sorry, we're not. That's them in the background there. Jordan Berube, we ride on board Luke Smith in the Crown Royal car, and now Eberhardt is finally by Manning and by Smith.
Taking that car really, really deep, really, really low in the corners, using up them tires as best he can, move himself forward. Don't know. We'll have to see how this works out for him. I'm still just thinking about that pit stop of his as to, I can't figure out why he would have pitted.
Yeah, it doesn't exactly clear a pit stop, because all of the drivers are going to have to pit again at around lap 90 or so, and then around lap 130. But Eberhardt has made it up. Well, no, he's back into 6th now, as we see Ryan Johnson has taken the lead from Weatherholt, but Weatherholt not letting him get away.
Definitely trying to keep him in touch. Doesn't want to get, see that kind of lead open up like Eberhardt gave him. Wants to try and keep that car in touch. If the closer they can run together, they can pull away from Robinson and Doyle here behind them. They've opened up just over a second lead, the 2 of them. As we ride on board here with Jacob Manning, you see just flirting with that wall. Fresh tires, a little bit more confidence. But as you mentioned, he's really... We've watched him do really, really well on the short runs, but it seems to really struggle once the tires start to fall off on the car as he scrapes the wall there out of 4th.
Yeah, we've seen Manning scrape the wall a few times today, but he's never really hit it hard. He's been getting away with it every time so far. And now I think Eberhardt got a little bit... Oh, sorry, that was Trevor Williams there on the low side. Similar colour car. It looked like Trevor Williams got a little bit loose. We haven't talked about Trevor Williams a whole lot this season, but he's been there.
Yeah, I can't count out any drivers here. Everybody's shown they have the ability to drive these cars. They have the ability to compete and move their cars forward. One mistake from some of the other drivers, and you can find yourself up into a podium position very, very quickly.
Yeah, I'm not sure Trevor Williams in that one car has been at every race. He might have done. He's quite far back in the points, 22nd in the point centre in this race. And right now having a solid performance up here in the top 10. And we like a logo on the trunk. But, by the way, this is what I have on my NASCAR Xfinity car on iRacing. I have a black and red car. We keep having all these white and red cars in the lap guide. I think black and red works well. It seems like it should be a corporate meeting and not something I should be discussing during the broadcast. But I'm just saying I like the look of Trevor's car.
Well, I am Canadian, so I am partial to the white-red cars. I really like them. I like the white probably because you can see, when the graphics are turned right up, you see those marbles building up on the car when you're running behind other cars at the tracks, and just how dirty these cars get. That iRacing has done a great job with that kind of rendering on these cars.
Working lap number 70 right now. Ryan Johnson still just ahead of Colin Weatherholt. And then there's a pretty good battle going on for third as well, as Weatherholt actually looks to try and get the lead back. Threw it into turn one, a lot deeper than Johnson on the low side, and he has a desired line, he has a run coming off. And Ryan Johnson's just going to say, okay, you take it, I'll settle for second. And he's still got a whole second of clean air behind him before you get to Matthew Robinson in third.
Yeah, you can see that they're both really running that high line, running midline on entry, and then the car drift up and exit up really close to the wall. They're starting to open up that gap back to Robinson and Eberhardt, but you know, Eberhardt making a huge charge here, just trying to get himself back up into the front. We ride on board here with Michael Larch, another one of our slow, steady points movers. You know, in the last 3 rounds, he's gone from 15th to 9th. That's consistency is just as good as being a podium place on a race. If you can be consistent race to race, you can find yourself in quite the battle for the championship.
And we continue to see that the midfield is really where the battle is. You saw Jordan Berube in 9th, Luke Smith in 10th, Scott Crump in 11th, Michael Larch in 12th, and Trevor Williams in 13th, all quite close together there. Trying to work out how Scott Crump got that far back, because he was one of the last ones to pit under that green flag.
He had a moment with the wall there, and I think he just lost a ton of momentum.
Yeah, because I'm going to say, I would have thought that him being the last one to pit right as the caution was coming out would have been good for him. Is that shark's teeth on the top of Ryan Johnson's helmet?
Oh, you mean, I'm not sure, yeah. Oh, Venom. Interesting what some of these guys do with their helmets.
It looks like the mouth of the alien in the Alien movie. But I need to watch more movies apparently, because our director's pretty insistent that that's Venom. Hey, look at Eberhardt up here in third. So he was able to get up here eventually. Boy, he is. Where's he come from?
And here he goes. He is just moving. Really able to hold this car on the bottom of the track. Unbelievable. I don't know how he manages to do this.
Yeah, must have been saving tyres even despite all that battling we saw him doing midfield. Again, his strategy could have turned out very poorly had he been caught up in an incident, but here he is as we approach the halfway point, battling for the lead.
Yeah, and he's still right on pace with Colin and Ryan. You know, running 24.8 lap. Still on pace with them as he goes after Weatherholt here for the lead on the low line.
And so here are your top 2 in points once again, side by side, going into turn 1. Let's see if Eberhardt's going to be able to clear him. Yes, he is. No, he isn't.
Yeah, I think he's going to get him through 3 and 4 here. Yeah, he's going to let the car drift up, make Weatherholt hit his brakes, make him slow down, just kind of block him a little bit. Not a nasty move, but, you know, it's a fair move. But, yeah, it can be considered nasty by some drivers to slide up like that and make you get out of the gas so they can take over the position.
Speaking of nasty, while this battle for the lead has been going on...
Oh, we got a car heavy in the wall.
Oh.
That's the 32 Elaine Doyle. Smacked the wall.
Yeah, he's still in the wall. He just got out of... Oh, no, that's Ryan Johnson from third. So we had 2 separate incidents maybe going on at the same time there. So Ryan Johnson continues in third, but how much damage does he have?
Yeah, just seeing on my screen here, it looks like Lane Doyle's got a fair amount of damage to the right rear of that car. It looks like he's trying to really hold on to it right now. He smacked that wall pretty hard, so I'm sure he's going to be struggling now.
Yeah, I think we'll need to try and get a replay of what happened to Lane Doyle. As you mentioned, Ryan Johnson, pretty significant, him hitting the wall from third. But Lane Doyle, as you mentioned, it was a pretty scary one. I just went back and watched it on my sim. He was trying to make a move coming off of turn 2, and then Jacob Manning got into the back of him on the exit.
Yeah, definitely got some help to get into that wall there. Just, you know, wasn't expecting him to slow that much, and got into the rear end of him a little bit there.
But they all got away with it, and Jacob Manning has actually been moving up forward. He's now in 6th position.
Well, and we have mentioned before, you know, he's really, really good on the short runs. Seems to fall off with about 10 laps to go in a fuel stint. Seems to really struggle once all the fuel's out of the car. Maybe trying to just ask too much of the rear end of the car. As Eberhard has taken the lead and is not stopping. He is trying to open up a gap and doing a pretty good job of it here, as Weatherholt just cannot hang on to him here.
Yeah, we watched a few laps ago as Eberhard was able to take a lead from Weatherholt up on that high line. And now we go back to where Dylan Jones is in 7th behind Jacob Manning. Clutching, trying to save fuel all the time. Again, I'm not too sure it's a concern, but any fuel you can save you time in the pits later on. The other driver I saw got in the wall right before we saw Lane Doyle and Ryan Johnson's incidents was Jason Berube, so that's why he's dropped back from 10th to about 13th. 13th.
Now we ride on board with Dylan Jones here. You know, again, started 19th, it's moved up 13 spots into 6th, right behind Jacob, coming up on Jacob Manning.
Yeah, and we saw Matthew Robinson coming into the pits to kick off the second round of pit stops.
Well, and look at this, like I said, some of our quiet drivers, Michael Larch, you know, 8th position, has moved up, you know, almost 8 positions in the championship in 3 rounds. He's, you know, he's moved up 10 from his started in 18th, now running in 8th. Consistency, and he may see himself continue to rise up in the point standings.
Right, Matthew Robinson comes into the pits and says, I'm going to get fresh tyres early and try and make up some ground, and nobody is responding.
If I go by what we've seen in the last few, most drivers tend to do that early pit stop on the first, just because of the opening pace lap, and then run these cars almost as much as they can, you know, in the second stint. So I would expect in the next I would expect most cars probably go to lap 91, maybe 1 or 2 more laps, as Lane Doyle is now in the pits.
Yeah, Trevor Williams has been in as well, so that's 3 of our 19. You saw Dean Gagliano went back a lap down on pace, still suffering the damage on that car. The only car 2 laps down is Seth Reed. See if we get any more takers this lap.
And this is definitely the scary part of the race, when you've got to make green flag pit stops. You got cars coming out on cold tires. You got guys trying to dive down into the pits. Anything can happen, and it can be catastrophic for those that have gone a lap down and are waiting for other cars to pit to bring them back up on the lead lap.
Ryan Johnson coming in from 3rd place. So this will give we watch Larch again, but Ryan Johnson into the pit, so he is the first of our leaders. I think you'll find Matthew Robinson will be leading the race when this is all said and done, but he'll be on older tyres. Colin Weatherholt from 2nd now in.
Riding on board there with Jacob Manning, you can hear how long he has to wait to get into the throttle on that car running up near the wall. It's beneficial, but you really got to wait a long time to get into that throttle.
And on the back straight as we watch Everhart get passed by a car with fresher tyres. I can tell you Matthew Robinson is ahead of Ryan Johnson, but not by much. So Ryan Johnson should be able to dispose of him. Remember this is just about, and Colin Weatherholt, of course. Well, there's Colin coming out of a pit. So Colin Weatherholt loses a position to Ryan Johnson there, and Ryan Johnson's tyres are only a lap newer than his now. Older than his, rather. Now, I think Ryan Johnson will be able to get by Matthew Robinson pretty easily because there's about 5-lap tyre difference here.
Yeah, let's just looking at some of the pit stops here. It looks like a few cars maybe got some damage repair while they're in there. A couple of 20-second pit stops compared to most at 14.5, 14.6 for their pit stop. So some drivers opting to get a little bit of repair in there halfway through this run, get the car dialed in a little bit more, make a run for it in the end.
Yeah, a lot of these cars are carrying damage out there, dinned up fenders on their right-hand side, and I think we'll see more of that next week at Darlington. It's not exactly worth us clipping a replay each time it happens, because it happens quite often and there's not normally too much damage from it, but it does mean that every now and then they might want to get a fender pulled out in the pits.
Definitely a track that gets a lot of black marks on that outer wall, with the outside line being the preferred line. Definitely lots of black marks. Fortunately, if as long as you're in a nice line, yeah, you're going to scrape the car a little bit, but it's really not going to affect the handling on the car unless you get that rear end just a little bit of a harder smack than you should.
So this is a battle for 4th through to 7th right now. None of these cars are pit yet, and 3rd place Jacob Manning not too far ahead of them either. So it's 4th place there is Dylan Jones, followed by 5th, the blue car of Michael Larch. Scott Crump 6th, and then our Daytona winner Jason Maines in 7th in that orange car at the back of that pack. But these cars are staying out, and so in this second round of stops, we've seen cars coming as early as lap 90, and we're seeing cars stay out as late as lap 100.
Definitely different fuel strategies here. Different cars maybe saving a little bit. We've seen some cars clutching. Definitely, save fuel, help the rotation through the corner, kind of preserve your tires a little bit without having that drive on the tires through the corner, through entry and mid-corner. But yeah, these guys, maybe somebody's hoping for a caution. Would be catastrophic for a few of these drivers if one came out. But
so here is Johnson and Weatherholt, who will be battling for the lead when these cars do all pit. They're running nose to tail as they pass this pack of cars we've been watching from 4th through 7th. On their fresher tyres, down low, probably running about 1 to 2 seconds a lap quicker than them right now. But they're still a lap down. So as you mentioned, if a caution came out, Johnson and Weatherholt would not be in a good position.
definitely not there. And by them running in the inside line there and making that car, making Jones and them go up on the high line, it's making them wait, especially out of 3 and 4, to be able to pit if they can kind of hold them up there and hold them up.
Everhart is in the pits. Yep, he will lose the lead. He's not losing the lead right now, of course. Well, he is to Mogard, who hasn't pit yet. But I'm talking about Ryan Johnson and Colin Weatherholt. They will likely go by him. Oh no, they have already gone by him. Wow, so they're about half a lap ahead of him. So that's how much Everhart is going to have to run them down on those newer tyres, because a pit stop this late has not saved him a pit stop. He still has to make one more stop.
Yeah, and it's not like they have unlimited tires. I mean, you're going to pit 4 times, you're going to pit for your 3 times, you're going to take your 3 sets of tires. There's no really extra set advantage to, double pitting. As Dylan Jones just saving fuel, maybe Everhart's saving fuel. I think everybody's saving fuel at this point.
That slow car down on the apron there was Seth Reed, the driver who's now gone 4 laps down, so I think he might have been in the wall again. So now you see the lap times Everhart is running 23.8 fastest lap of the race. And is this a replay of what happened to Seth Reed? Yep.
Yeah, just over, car started to step out, overcorrected. Good job keeping it out of the wall there, but definitely going to lose a lot on that one.
Jason Maines now into the pit. I do have to wonder how far are some of these drivers stretching it. Jason Maines came in on lap 55, but to make it to the end, 55 laps, you'd have to pit on lap 112. Is that what the likes of Dylan Jones is trying to do?
We've seen the drivers try to push it, and we've seen drivers that can really have made us wonder, how much fuel are they actually saving? Some of these guys are really good at saving fuel and running those extra laps. And I mean, if you can do it all the way to the end, yeah, you're definitely going to have a bit of an advantage. But it can also bite you if we go to a green-white checkered and there's not enough fuel in the car.
You can see Dylan Jones is the only driver yet to pit. Ryan Johnson, Weatherholt, Robinson and Eberhardt all have pit. You can see Eberhardt, by pitting as late as he did, it has to run 7 seconds down on Ryan Johnson, but he is going half a second a lap quicker than him, so that's only going to take him probably about 15 laps. Dylan Jones, though, could be one to watch if he can make it all the way to the end with only this pit stop. And I've got to imagine that's what he's doing.
Yeah, push it as far as he can, see what he can get, and just, right now I'm sure he's just hoping, hey, bring out a caution. That's going to trap a lot of cars down. But, he doesn't want to be the reason for that caution either.
Well, I mean, honestly, this strategy could work out for Dylan Jones. He might not want the caution. If it stays green and he's the only one who can... there's a big moment there for Weatherholt, as he was challenging Johnson. He's able to save it, but that'll cost him a bit of time.
Yeah, coming up on 50 to go here. A lot of drivers are probably starting to push a little bit more. You can see some, see those RPMs drop, some fuel saving going on. Tires, everybody's, again, fresh tires right now. Everybody, whoa, big moment by Dylan there.
Dylan Jones is on lap number 58 of his run. And I don't think he's coming in yet. So let's say you can make 60 laps. Who does that mean can make it to the end without having to pit?
Well, considering you can only make, the max they estimated for fuel was 45 to 50 laps. So I'm not sure how he's doing what he's doing, but every one of these drivers has shown us they all have different strategies as Dylan Jones comes into the pits here.
All right, so he comes in after 59 laps. He comes in with 54 laps to go, so he can make it. Other cars who pitted within the last 5 laps are Scott Crump and Bo Tiffany. So keep an eye on them as well. Now, I know Dylan Jones was just losing a lot of time, but here's the thing. Now he's going to be able to make a lot of that time back with these new tyres, and then everyone else is going to have to pit at the end of a race while he is not. Providing, of course, we don't get another caution.
The infamous words of a caution. And, again, they have proven they are, really good at driving these cars. Again, all of our races so far have gone over 90% green flag. So these drivers, they will fight, they will push these cars, but they've managed to hold on to it and keep most of these races caution-free.
Well, we're watching a nice little battle for 6th, 7th and 8th, but I'll tell you that Scott Crump just unlapped himself from Ryan Johnson. Keep an eye on Scott Crump in the number 11. Can he make it to the end without pitting? We know Dylan Jones can. And Dylan Jones is only 5 seconds behind Scott Crump, and with these newer tyres, he'll easily go by him.
Yeah, new tires feel nice. New tires are fun, but then, sometimes you can get a little bit too confident under the new tires, and they start to fall off, and that's when, serious mistakes happen. As we come down here to 50 to go with Colin Weatherholt right on the back of Ryan Johnson here.
And these two, obviously, as do most of the field, will have to pit one more time, and that pit stop will come somewhere between 20 to 30 laps from now.
Going to be a short pit stop. And as you said, some drivers may be trying to opt and run this without that final pit stop if we can stay green. I think if we see a caution in this last 50 laps, we're going to see everybody come in for tires and fuel. But currently, I think everybody's going to try and run that we are going to go green right to the end, and could make for another exciting finish, which we've had plenty of in this series.
Ryan Johnson continues to lead, and once again, here comes Weatherholt and here comes Eberhardt. And let's see if Eberhardt is able to make quick work of him. Weatherholt sees him coming, and he's like, oh, let's see if I can get the lead now. I think it's a little bit too late. I think Eberhardt is, we know where that number 90 car is going to end up in about a couple laps time.
Such a strong performance, really strong performance the other week. Another strong performance today. Just seems to really have an idea of what he can do with this car.
And this is Dylan Jones. This is what those 20-lap newer tyres are doing for him right now. And he'll actually, if fuel saving is still a little bit of a concern to pull this off, he'll be able to do that while he's working his way through this hornet's nest. But this is Dylan Jones trying to work his way back up onto the lead lap as Eberhardt in front of him takes the lead.
Well, that's something to keep in mind too. He's got good tires. He's good and strong right now. It's going to be interesting to see if Eberhardt just says, yeah, go ahead, you've got the tires, or if he's going to try and hold him back. You get cars trying to get their lap back. Sometimes you don't want to let them go because you know what they can do if they get back on the lead lap. But sometimes, again, you're also better just to... We got a car in the wall.
Yeah, I think Johnson just grazed the wall coming out of turn 2 in front of us right there, running in second position. You can see Eberhardt's pulling in front. Looked like Jones had gone by him, but they're going side by side into the turn, which shouldn't be yeah, it's not a contest. Jones has so much newer tyres.
Yeah, I got to use them when you got them, and make up as much time as you can.
Was a good little battle going on for 5th, 6th and 7th a couple of laps ago as well. It's spread out a little bit now, but that's Jared Mogard, Jacob Manning, Lane Doyle and Luke Smith. Well, everyone's going to be running around here for about 10-20 more laps with the cars on newer tyres going fast and the cars on older tyres going slow. But things are really going to kick off in about 10 or 20 laps when that last round of pit stops kicks off. So we'll be back by then. We're about to take a quick break and we'll be back for the finish here on GSRC. This is a Maverick Mechanical 167.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit
Hello and welcome back to Rockingham, where we are now at 39 laps left to go, and Ryan Johnson once again getting a little bit of a wall going through turns 1 and 2 there. So while we were on that quick break, you saw that Lane Doyle came into the pits, so he kicked off our final round of pit stops. So we'll see if that helps him move up any positions. And already look at the lead that Eberhardt has built over Johnson in just a few laps since he passed him. So let's go through the field. It is Daniel Eberhardt leading by 3 seconds, but he still has to pit again, as does Ryan Johnson in second position. But Ryan Johnson keeps grazing the wall, and he's got Weatherholt all over the back of him in third. These two both looking for their first win of the season. Jared Mogard, he's normally good at these strategy events. He's been up here all night long. He's in 4th place. And Jacob Manning has had an eventful race. He normally has eventful races, but this one is working out for him so far, with him in 5th. Our Daytona winner, Jason Maines, is in 6th position. And then not too far behind him is Michael Larch in 7th position. Matthew Molnar, he's also been in the top 10 all night long, is in 8th position, and that concludes our drivers who have to pit again. Here come Dylan Jones in 9th, and I was going to say Scott Crump in 10th, but Scott Crump, oh yeah, it is Scott Crump in 10th, briefly. Here we go. The orders are getting all mixed up a little bit now, Robert, because we have cars pitting. Ryan Johnson in for his last stop.
Yeah, some drivers opting to do it, that final pit stop, get it out of the way, get back out on track. That way it's all done, it's all said and done. If a caution does come out, we know everybody here will get their elbows out with about 20 to go. And we know how treacherous turn 2 can be. Still got some cloud cover here. Not sure what the winds are at right now.
I'm doing some quick math. It looks like Ryan Johnson is 20 seconds behind Dylan Jones. So that's a gap that Dylan Jones has got to cover off as he tries to do this race without pitting again.
And here's Eberhardt in the pits.
This is a response to Ryan Johnson pitting so early. And the nice thing for Eberhardt here is he had a 3-4 second lead before this round of pit stops. So even though he came in a lap later than Johnson, he should be able to come out ahead of him.
Now we see Jacob Manning in the pits here. A lot of damage to his car. Did we been scraping the wall, or did we miss something here just in that last lap? We'll have to watch his pit stop here and see if he takes any repair time.
He has definitely had an eventful race. Eberhardt rolling out of the pits. Ryan Johnson is in turn 1. Is Ryan Johnson going to be able to go by Eberhardt? I think it could be close as they go down the back straight. There he goes. Johnson ahead of Eberhardt. So wow, that 1 lap earlier pit stop moves him ahead.
Yeah, but now Eberhardt has 1 lap fresher tires than he does. So, it's going to be a good battle because we know Eberhardt apparently tires haven't really been an issue for him. He's been able to hold on to that bottom line and really pick off these cars one by one. It's going to be interesting to see, who can hold him off. Unfortunate for Weatherholt here, he's going to have to chase down Eberhardt too, as through that cycle he's a second, almost 2 seconds behind him.
So Jason Maines now leads the race. He still has to pit. Dylan Jones in second does not. Now look at the times on the left-hand side of your screen. Scott Crump in third, he has to pit. Ryan Johnson is the first car who does not. Can Ryan Johnson, about 18 seconds back of Dylan Jones, who's currently in second and now goes into the lead as Maines goes into the pits, can Ryan Johnson and Daniel Eberhardt and Colin Weatherholt run down that 17, 18 second gap to Dylan Jones, who does not have to pit again, is on slightly older tyres and may have to save a little bit of fuel?
Yeah, still running in the 24s last lap, high 25s last lap, maybe saving some fuel. He's got a really nice gap right now, so he can try and save fuel, preserve his tires. Probably doesn't want to let that gap close to, close very much, but he's got a good chance here if he can keep this car on track and not have to dive into the pits for fuel.
And as Johnson and Eberhard race side by side, this is going to be helping Jones. These two side by side, Miel is holding him up, and Eberhard almost squeezes Johnson into the wall, and Johnson getting on the radio. I don't know what he was saying, but it probably might have been something like, what was that all about?
I'm sure it wasn't pleasant.
15 seconds back now. They're coming too fast. I think they're going to get Dylan Jones.
So Eberhard and Johnson just ran a 24.1 and 24.4 to Dylan's 25.1. So yeah, they're a good second faster than he is right now. But again, their tires are going to fall off too. Hopefully, from Dylan Jones' seat, very quickly on them, where they won't be able to. Their lap times are going to fall off as well.
Yeah, I think my math might have been... Oh, big moment from Eberhard coming out of treacherous turn 2, and Johnson's going to capitalise on that and go underneath. These two know what's up for grabs. This could potentially be the race win. By the way, I was going to make... Oh, is that a lap car again?
Yeah, that was the lap car.
Yeah, I've done it again. Okay, all right.
Sometimes it's hard to keep track of these guys when they all get through the field here as to just what's going on.
What I was going to note, and I'm pretty sure on this one, is another mistake I made was I thought Scott Crump might be able to make it to the end on fuel. I think he is doing heavy fuel saving. Scott Crump is about to get eaten up by a lot of drivers, but let's focus on this free wide battle for position as Manning gets loose and goes onto the apron.
Definitely not a good place to be, is that apron. Going to really unsettle. Yeah, you see he's really struggling with rear grip through that corner. Yeah, not happy with himself at all. Pushed it a little bit too low. You can see he's just wiggling that car, just trying to feel it out, see what he's got.
Well, he has fresh tires, so what he's trying to do is use them. Bo Tafani running up there in 9th place right now. I'm wondering if maybe, well, now down to 10th place, I'm wondering if maybe he's trying to stretch it to the end. And Bo Tiffany, apologies. Oh no, that's him up high, getting past. So is Bo Tiffany trying to stretch it to the end on fuel? If he is, it's still not really going to plan for him. He's dropped out of the top 10. And I'm
just looking at the lead that Jones has opened up here, even on Eberhard here. He's got a 10-second lead over Eberhard, with coming around with 20 to go. That's going to be a lot of work for Eberhard to get up to Dylan Jones if we stay green here. Providing Dylan has enough fuel and enough tires to make it to the end of the race.
No, that gap was 17 seconds. I'm not optimistic here. So the reason the gap has gone from 4 seconds to 10 seconds is because the gap was 4 seconds to Scott Crump. Scott Crump is doing heavy fuel saving and has dropped to 5th. Now, oh boy, as we're watching how intense all this is with Dylan Jones having to save fuel and being in the middle of a 3 wide, he doesn't want this. This is holding him up more. But Eberhard is coming at 1 second a lap with 19 laps to go and only 8 seconds behind. I think this is Eberhard's.
Yeah, those are the cars, fresher tires, trying to get their laps back. You know, he's letting them through, but he's got to be careful. If he just keeps letting these faster cars and fresher tires through, Eberhard's going to close that gap so quick that he's going to blink and possibly not be where he wants to be at the end of this race. But
Dylan Jones would... I think Dylan Jones is... Oh, as he gets up in the wall almost. I think Dylan Jones' best opportunity for a win is actually a caution to come out right now. Because he's the only one who hasn't made the final stop, although granted a couple other drivers like Scott Crump haven't either, he'll have a fresh set of tyres ready for the final 15-lap, 10-lap shootout, whatever we get.
Yeah, it looks like Eberhard's starting to fall off a little bit here. You know, starting to slow down. You know, the tires are starting to fade away on him. More fuel out of the rear of the car. So let's just do our comparisons here. So, yeah, definitely losing a little bit in the car here.
Yeah, but Jones was in traffic for the last couple of laps, so let's see what Jones does this lap around. He hasn't had any traffic to deal with. I still don't like that number. 5 seconds, 4 seconds with 16 laps to go. I don't like it. Yeah, and a 25.3, that's not enough.
Now, we've seen him come out of nowhere before, you know, maybe right now just trying to, he's closed that gap to 4.5 seconds. And we can look here, track temperature down quite a bit, 89 degrees, but those southern winds are definitely making treacherous turn 2 a little bit more treacherous, as basically those southern winds blow across turn 1, turn 2, and can really upset the car on exit.
Another almost second pulled out from Eberhard last lap around. So the 3 drivers who really want a caution are Dylan Jones, Scott Crump and Bo Tiffany. They'll all be able to get a new set of tyres. Now, one thing that's okay, another consideration here is that Jones is probably going to lose the lead to Eberhard. Is he doing enough to maybe hold on to second if there isn't a caution? Ryan Johnson is not near Eberhard anymore.
Yeah, definitely about points at this point. I mean, I'm sure he wants another win, move himself up. I would have to go to the table and look at how the points are. But as I said, he's been on a huge run here since Watkins Glen, moving up a number of spots to take over third, proving he can win a race, proving he can drive this car, and definitely give Daniel Eberhard a run for his money.
All right, we were saying a little bit ago that Eberhard's tyres were starting to fall off. I don't think they're falling off far enough, but he's gone from closing 1 second a lap to half a second a lap. So this is a bit more optimistic for Dylan Jones. But let's see what happens when these 2 cars catch him. I think these 2 lap cars are actually going to hurt Dylan Jones. Eberhard's not going to catch him. They're actually going to pass Dylan Jones and hold him up.
Definitely going to be something here.
Maines is a teammate, but I don't think he can just sit back there and not pass him, because he's racing Michael Larch for position and show. Oh, Jones skidding. So Maines gets by Jones, and now Larch wants to as well.
Oh, look at that gap. Half a second now for Eberhard behind Jones. And I think when we thought his tires were falling off, he was playing a little game with us and going, you know what, I'll save tires for 2 or 3 laps, and then I'll push it again. And, here he comes.
And all of these cars going around Jones have been putting themselves back on the lead lap. So if we did get a late caution, we would have quite a bit of excitement here. But here we go then. Jones doesn't have to let lap cars by anymore on fresher tyres. Eberhard's tyres are falling off a little bit. There's 7 laps left to go. How hard can Jones race this? Does he want to race this hard? No, he doesn't. I think... I was about to say, I think Jones is settling for second, but maybe not.
Well, I'm sure he's not going to give it up easy. He knows, maybe, like we said, he had to save there at the start too. Maybe he's been saving tires a little bit too. Really running that low line, which I'm surprised. Just trying to, keep Eberhard questioning where he's going to be here. Take that bottom line from Eberhard, because we've seen Eberhard be able to run that low line, but he does seem to not really hold on to that high line as well, as he proves me wrong here and gets around him to take over first place, coming around with 5 to go.
The reason I think Jones probably smartly decided not to fight that any harder than he did is because he knew that pass was inevitable. His race now needs to be to hold on to second, because Johnson and Weatherhole are closing in, but not that fast. If Jones had raced Eberhard really hard, that might have allowed these 2 to run them down.
Yeah, another podium for him is not a bad thing. A win would be great, but another podium is not a bad thing. Holds him up, it moves him up in the standings. Colin Weatherholt here, unfortunately, back and forth, probably going to hurt him this week in the standings a little bit. We might see Dylan Jones take over second place here. If he can maintain second or maintain to get on the podium here, we may see Weatherholt, unfortunately, once again move down.
Jones actually a bit faster last lap by Eberhardt, but here we come to 2 laps left to go, and Jones actually has a lap car outside of him who's on fresher tyres. So you're going to see the P13 car of Matthew Molnar kind of get involved in this as well. I'm not going to misidentify him for a lead lap car this time. But here we go then. What is Molnar going to try and get his lap back from Eberhardt? That could be an interesting one, because there is an advantage to finishing on the lead lap in that if any lead lap car runs into trouble on the final lap, you beat them. Here it goes then, the final lap. Eberhardt with a 7/10 of a second lead over Jones, who has about 1.5 seconds over that battle for third between Johnson and Weatherholt. Right now, it looks like they're going to stay in that order. It looks like it's going to be Eberhardt, Jones, Johnson and Weatherholt. But any kind of slip-up could change that up, as third and fourth are very close going into turn 3. But it's Daniel Eberhardt who's going to come across the line and take his third win of the season.
Another dominant performance by Daniel Eberhardt. Becomes our first driver to win 2 races on oval. 3rd race win of the season. Just another absolutely dominating performance. Really showing what he can do with these cars and what these cars are truly capable of with the right hands wrapped around the wheel.
And Eberhardt for the 3rd time this season is going to burn it down and give the fans a little treat here as he celebrates in the infield grass here at Rockingham Speedway. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We will be back with a full race rundown and driver interviews. Don't go away.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Hello and welcome back to Rockingham Speedway, where we just witnessed round number 7 of the Rolling Thunder Racing Series here at the Rock, and it was Daniel Eberhardt for the 3rd race in 7, taking the victory by 1 second ahead of Dylan Jones. Ryan Johnson was able to hold on ahead of Colin Weatherholt for 3rd and 4th. Matthew Robinson got 5th place after being the first driver to kick off at final round of stops. Jared Mogard in 6th position. Jacob Manning had an eventful race. He brought it home in 7th ahead of Luke Smith and Jason Maines. And then Scott Crump also made it to the end without making the final pit stop, and he brings home 10th.
Yeah, good drives by all our drivers. And there's Michael Larch, our consistency driver in 11th, with Lane Doyle behind him in 12th. Last of the cars on the lead lap. Then we've got Matthew Molnar in 13th, Jordan Berube in 14th, and Trevor Williams in 15th, a lap down. And following up the field is Bo Tiffany in front of Brenton Barker with Dean Gagliano and Seth Reed.
That's Rido, only retirement from the race. Daniel, your third win out of 7. How confident were you when you realised Jones was skipping that final pit stop? How confident were you that you could run him down?
I didn't know if I was that confident about running them down, but I was real nervous about it. I didn't even really want to show up. I hate Rockingham, and for some reason, I guess these cars like the top, so it just made it a totally different. So just crazy, insane how much the racing changed right there with this car compared to the other cars that go around Rockingham. So it's a pretty fun race all around. Highly competition. I don't know how I wanted to word that. So, but no, it was really fun, and the D3 machine was on rails.
Highly competitive, I think, was the phrase you were looking for. After the first round of pit stops, there was a quick caution, and you elected to come in, I assume, just to top off with an extra splash of fuel. That put you back in the traffic. We didn't quite understand that move.
Yeah, you want to go as long as you can on your tires. The longer you go, if you outdo the people on their tires, if they pit before you, you have so much of an advantage. So when you do that, you just got to pit and then keep going. So I wanted to pit right there and splash the fuel and try to go about 7 more laps than them, and that's exactly what we did. And then we were lucky because if Jones, I felt like he was saving fuel. Maybe I don't really know what he was doing. If he was saving fuel, then he could actually go harder than me, but I don't know about the end. I don't know much of what was going on there, but just all around, just a great race.
Yeah, it was nice seeing only one caution on this very tricky track, and there were a few hairy moments for you out there as well, but you brought it home in the end. How are you feeling heading into Darlington next week?
Pretty good. I'm not really good there. We're gonna see how it goes. Just got to show up and get some practice laps in. I didn't even really want to show up to this race. Like I said, I hate Rockingham, and Rockingham's kind of like Darlington. You got to run the wall. So, we'll see about next week. I think Dylan's gonna be the guy to watch. Colin's right there. He's just peeking, trying to get into the victory lane, but he's due. He's coming around. He's probably going to win a couple of them here coming up shortly.
We already gave a shout out to D3. Anyone else you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, Justin Rideout for putting on this league, Rolling Thunder. I know we didn't really have a good car count tonight, but it doesn't show for the racing. I mean, each and every week we've gone almost flag to flag, so it's pretty exciting. If you are watching out there, come and check them out, Rolling Thunder on Discord, and just get in contact with Justin Rideout. Thank you for broadcasting this race. Y'all do a great job. And thank you to my wife who lets me do the madness each and every week.
All right, that was Daniel Eberhardt, your winner here today at Rockingham. Finishing second, just 1 second behind him, Robert, you've caught up with Dylan Jones.
Congratulations there, Dylan, on another podium run. Started at the back of the pack, worked your way all up the front. What were you thinking there with the 10 to go and just Eberhardt closing that gap on you?
Well, there's a little bit more to it than that. From the second to last stint, was clutching and not running full throttle down the straightaway. For two little stints, I was clutching this thing, trying to make it on feel, and I still ran out down the front straightaway. If I would have been able to get another lap of fuel somewhere there and been able to run all out, I think I would have been able to steal one from him. All I know is that wore me out.
Well, we were wondering there, how much fuel you were saving just based on your pit stop and the tires there. We weren't sure. Maybe your tires fell off, or maybe, as you say, you're just trying to save some fuel and at least make it to the end of the race. I hope you're happy with your P2.
Yeah, because it could have very easily not worked, because that was the most fuel saving I've ever done in my life. So to at least somewhat work and get P2, I'm definitely happy with that.
Definitely a great run. Again, starting in 19th, taking home P2. Before we let you go here tonight, anybody you'd like to thank?
Thank you guys at GSRC for putting this on, and everyone at Blue Thunder. I mean, We pretty much almost went caution free at Rockingham, so that's a pretty amazing result for this league.
Yeah, I definitely love watching you guys run these things almost flag to flag. Great seeing you. Congratulations again on P2, and we will see you in the next race.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
And so now we move to our third place finisher here tonight, Ryan Johnson. Ryan, a very impressive performance here today. Colin Weatherholt was keeping pressure on you throughout the entire last stint.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. It felt like we couldn't get away from each other that whole race. It was pretty fun racing him. He's honestly probably the faster guy, especially on the shorter runs. But yeah, we were able to hold him off for third.
How are you feeling about your season as a whole right now? Because we keep seeing you run up here, but you haven't brought home the checkers yet.
Yeah, we have, as a team in After Dark, we've screwed up strategy quite a few times. We thought we had it figured out, and we were way off. We've had a couple decent finishes. We've been able to run kind of up front. So yeah, it was kind of nice tonight to actually show it and have a good finish for it.
So how are you feeling heading into Darlington next week?
It's going to be a pain. There's going to be a lot of mistakes made, and I'm just going to try and make as little as possible because the track isn't very forgiving.
And sorry, I skipped over this question. We saw for the last round of stops there, I think you were the first one of the leaders to come into the pit. We just heard Daniel Eberhardt talking about why he likes to be one of the last cars to come into the pit. Do you have a preference for being one of the earlier cars, or were you just trying to roll the dice and see what happened?
I was just kind of trying to stick to our original strategy. We were going to split the race up into 3 even lap pit stops, and it was time. And I wanted to see if I could get a jump on Weatherholt because I knew how hard it was to pass, especially later in the run. Normally, I like to stay out as long as I can. I'm kind of with Eberhard on that. I like having the freshest tires. So, yeah, I'm more that one.
All right, well, we'll let you go and get ready for Darlington. Anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, just Justin and the admins running this league. It's been so much fun this far. You guys for broadcasting and putting on great shows. All the drivers for really, really good, clean racing this season. I've had a blast. My teammates and everyone tuning in and watching.
And we appreciate you sharing your camera as well, Dad. So that was Ryan Johnson giving us some exciting moments out there today and bringing it home with a third place finish. Well, Robert, we had one caution, but that was a much cleaner race than I think any of us anticipated here at the Rock.
Was really surprised with how well everybody handled the car tonight. That one caution, they continue their streak of over 90% green flag runs. Really looking forward to see what they do in Darlington.
Well, we would like to thank all of the competitors and organisers for the Rolling Thunder Racing Series for coming out here today and putting on the Married Mechanical 165 here today. Thanks to the team today, Robert, Ryan and Dougie. You make sure to check us out on our social media website and merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which I believe now has 14,000 subscribers. Yay! I'm one of those, by the way. So don't miss... Oh boy, okay, let's start this again. And don't miss another second of exciting racing action here on GSRC. Our next race for the series will be the same time next Sunday night as we head to Darlington. We also have upcoming races for our other series listed on the screen, so be sure to check those out and mark them down in your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.